Hello, and welcome to episode 3 of the Grit podcast. First of all, thank you all who've been listening so far. I can see there's been a few listens and some subscribers, which is really nice to see. We're getting some feedback on other platforms as well, which is good. So, first thing I want to say is I've actually started a new place on my blog. It's thegrit.blog, which is I moved over to WordPress, and I'm just starting to get used to that and everything. But I think that's gonna be like the main place where I'm gonna be posting updates for shows like this, and just that's just gonna be the hub from now on. And so please bookmark that, and please also subscribe if you are listening now. It'd be great, just so I can see roughly what the engagement is, people enjoying the content and whatever else. But after that, let's start with today's show. So this one is going to be not just a one-off episode. It's going to be a series of podcasts about what are the biggest factors that influence whether you're going to get the girl. I haven't decided what I'm going to call it yet, a series, but I know when I was younger, I struggled with just knowing what was important, because you go out there, you look on all the blogs, the sites, or whatever, and there's just so much going on. So what I've done is just basically distill this down to the simple things that you need to know, and the stuff that I've kind of left out the noise. There's things that you can work out on your own, and stuff that you might not be able to work out on your own, and if you don't work it out, you're probably going to keep struggling. So, I also want to add, the first, I don't know how many number of episodes are going to be quite beginner-focused stuff, and then I'm going to be moving quite swiftly on to more intermediate stuff, but I want to just get the beginner stuff down, just so everyone's got a base level idea of what I'm basing all my thoughts off of, and I can reference back and say you're following the model, blah 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 blah. So without further ado, let's go. So these are the factors which influence whether you're going to get the girl. So I know for me, I always just wanted to sleep with a lot of women. As I said in my last podcast, one of my goals back when I was a lot younger was I want to sleep with 100 women, which done that, great, fun, whatever. And there's obviously a lot of guys now who want to do the same thing, and it's come out there and give it a go. But the factors that are quite important for me, I think number one is understanding the model. So that's what this podcast is going to be based on today. But wait 1 second. Sorry, yeah. So this one's going to be based on understanding the model. And then there's other things which are also kind of equally as important. I don't sort of place any importance more than everything. It's just more to do with the order of things. So understanding the model, value, energy, social intelligence, logistics. Of course, there are other factors as well, but this is more just game stuff. I'm not going to go into things like money and how you use that to leverage game, etc. But we'll just start with that. I mean, of course, this is an evolving concept, so I might very well change my mind and add something else. So understanding the model. Why do you need a model? Especially at the beginning, you need a model because chances are you're feeling yourself in the dark, feeling around in the dark, not really knowing what to do next. So you get in any interaction, you see a girl, you're at school or you're at university or work or wherever you've met this girl, and you get in front of her and you go, crap. Started talking, and now I'm just rambling. She looks like she might be interested, but I don't know what I'm doing next. I don't know what I'm meant to be doing. I don't know where to go with this. I don't know how to check if this is even going well or whatever. So that's why you need a model, just to when you have those moments of brain farts, just to kind of guide you back where you need to be. And it's kind of I think the simpler you keep it, the more all-encompassing it can be. Because I've kept this model's very simple. Also, I didn't invent this model. It's it's out there. I've actually based this model off of the mystery method, like the original, like pickup guide from back in the day, which a lot of people kind of write off. I think people write it off because they see it more as like, oh, it's about the canned lines and the pickup lines and the negging and all that kind of stuff. Where like, I think that kind of stuff is outdated, done, shot. But the actual like overall structure that Mystery was trying to build is still valid today. You just gotta put your own pizzazz within it and move within it. It's like anything really. You take what you need and discard the rest. So we'll go from here. Sorry, once again there's like some background interference and some noise. I've just checked what it is. It's like a lorry or drilling or something. So anyway, if it gets too bad, I'll stop and I stopped. Difficult. Okay, so with the model, I've just used Mystery's model. It's very simple. I think the simpler you keep it, the easier it is then to reference back in your head when you're in this moment when you're struggling. Like I don't think about this now. It's not a conscious thing I walk around and think about. It definitely probably was at some point, but not anymore. I probably do actually subconsciously act as if I am thinking about it. Like if you were to watch me, you'd be like, well, he's on that. And I'll be like, well, if I analyze that, it's probably because my head's going, you got to be in this part of the interaction or whatever. So the model itself is actually very simple. It's just find, meet, attract, close. That's it. That's all you need to think about. Joking. The reason why I keep it as find, meet, attract, close is quite simple. If you're beginner, not quite sure where you are probably failing somewhere along the line of find, meet, attract, close. So let's start with the find. At the beginning, find is quite simple. Are you finding women? Are you coming across them in your life? So that find places to find, day game, night game, apps, social circles, work. If you're that brave, I wouldn't recommend it, but are you finding them? Are you getting in front of them, whether that be figuratively or whatever? I can add social media in there as well. So that's what it's want to find. Some guys, they're like, oh, I'm really struggling, this, that, and the other. And it's like, well, how many women are you coming across in your daily life? So, well, not many. It's like, well, you need to be getting in front of women, whether that is sort of online or apps or whatever. And then you can start saying, well, that's the issue or that's not the issue. And then, the find, how to fix the find. It's day game. I don't want to start with that game. So let's go night game. That's pretty more common. Night game, like you're out, you're out in the right bars, you're out in the right clubs. Are you meeting women in the right place? Are you going to where they're actually the hot girls are, or are you just going to the local pub with your mates and then going, well, there's no one really here, are you a wallflower? And that's like. Then on the apps, you got good photos? Are you presenting yourself in the right way? Is it just a lazy account where you're just taking 5 selfies, like a thumb, put it up, and then wondered why no one's matching with you? Because then that's what's going to happen. Women are very picky. They don't need you. They need something, but not you. And in the social circle, are you in social circles? Are you in front of women? You talk to them regularly? That's that kind of thing. Find, I feel like, it's probably the one to easiest fix because it's just purely logistics based and it doesn't really need it doesn't really need any balls. It just needs fine tuning and a bit of guidance, like someone that's going, oh, come on mate, come on, knock your heads together kind of thing and look what you're doing. You're obviously not doing the right thing. And find it's probably also the simplest one to be like, well, this is what I'm going wrong, because you just know, I just don't talk to women, so it's the easiest thing to then go and fix. All right. So you don't find. Meet. Bit harder. Meeting. I class meeting as the initial opening, and then the whole interaction all the way to like hook point. If you don't know what hook point is, it's when the woman, or how I see it as a woman, when they're in interaction with you and they think, you know what, yeah, I want to sit down and have a conversation with this guy, I want to get to know them. Like, if you've ever done any kind of game before, especially in person, you see, you go and talk to women, and there's that moment initially where they think, oh, who's this guy talking to me? Well, everyone's just a second away from walking away. And then there's that moment when they go, okay, I'm going to actually engage in a conversation with this person. And if they walk past me again for whatever reason in the club, I'm going to engage in that conversation, kind of thing. And that can come very quickly. At that point, that can come in the first 15 seconds if there's enough attraction, or that can take a few minutes if it's a bit more of a grind. But that's what that initial meet stage is. So, what does that look like in night game? You're in a bar and you're saying, "Oh, that lady over there looks fantastic. I'm gonna go and say hi to her." So you're gonna say hi, and you have your opening. Like, so I just had to flick through the mystery method now. Actually, I haven't looked at it for a very long time, and it's very much like you gotta look over the shoulder and do all this kind of stuff for opening. And I don't really believe in that. I believe in just keep it simple. Say hi, introduce yourself, and tell them why you came to speak to her. Simple as that. Keep it, living the truth. That's where we are. And people appreciate that. Tell them you find them good looking and want to say hi. And then the chat from there is usually I go just like an observation about like, oh no, I saw you doing that, blah 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 blah, and then see how it goes. Like, I don't really structure my openings past that point. They're very quite loose and very situational, very just like, oh yeah, kind of whatever, and trying to, I guess the vibe I'm trying to bring across is, oh, I've literally just kind of stumbled across you. Even if I was just looking at it for a while, I'm like, yeah, what's a good time to open, kind of thing. Alright, and then on apps, the opening is when you've got the match, and then you match, and you've matched, and you're sending your first message. Unless it's Bumble, where she'll probably just send you an emoji. I don't really use Bumble, to be honest. I'm not a big fan of that, the way that's set up, but guys do have success with it, and it is what it is. Trail of thought, where was I? Yep. So on your apps, and then it's that first initial conversation, and also on apps, like, I think it's very easy to get too caught up in the opening. Yeah, there's two schools of thought. One that she has an unlimited amount of guys to choose from, and you're just one of a pool of hundreds, which is probably true, but women don't really match with that many guys online, not compared to guys, as in they don't like swipe as often or attempt to match, because they know like chances are it might be alright. So they're looking for something quite particular, and they have a particular type, and then blah 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 blah. So you, in that opening, you want to show yourself as a little bit different, a little bit, maybe a bit cheeky, whatever that be presented in your profile. But there's no need to be worrying about it too much. Like, just a standard opening, like a canned opening is really fine for online. Just don't put too much thought into it. Alright, and then attraction. I think this is where most guys fall down and don't even realise when they fall down. So attraction is hard. You can, if you're social enough, you can find someone, you can meet someone, you can probably get them to a reasonable hook point. But attraction, like for most guys, it's difficult. Like it's difficult to get a girl who's just met you to not just find you attractive, but find you attractive over a period of time. You know, because you can find someone attractive for for like 5 minutes, and they do something stupid or something, and then it's a turn off. So that attraction is difficult for a lot of guys. So how are you cultivating that attraction? Through banter, through your social intelligence, through touch, compliance, qualification, all these things. That's how you're stoking that attraction fire. That's how, imagine it is like a fire. You got to keep occasionally throwing some wood on it. Not a lot though. Like, remember, it's like if you ever made fires, you can't just like shove all the wood in it, because then you're just going to suffocate the fire and it's going to go out. So you got to be quite careful about when you are adding a little bit on, because I think a lot of guys do that. When they do have attraction, they don't realize it, and they kind of beat a woman over the head with a stick. Like, okay, so you're attracted to me. Oh, let me keep bantering. And she's like a bit put off, because then it's a bit weird, because it's socially miscalibrated. Because like in the sort of male to female mating dance, she's already like gone, yeah, I find you attractive now. Ha ha ha! I'm laughing at your jokes. Blah blah blah. Whatever. So we've done that bit, and you're still there doing that bit. So it's a bit like she's like, oh, well, why are you still doing that? It's jarring. That's what it is. It's jarring for her, and it's not attractive. Right. So and then within attraction, I have put comfort and seduction as well in brackets in my notes. Of course, it's not just attractive, and it's about like having that comfort, just the rapport, moving into seduction, and then the last point, closing. Where, when, how. Where, when, how. It's quite a difficult one. It's just like, I know I've struggled a lot with logistics, kind of been like, oh, okay, where, when, how am I trying to pull it? Are you trying to pull it at the right time? Are you reading that sign saying, look, oh yeah, I'm ready for it, or you're not ready for it? I've definitely had situations even this year where I've just not been able to close because the logistics weren't right, and so that everything's on. Like, I remember this one particular Norwegian girl, I was in a club thing in Budapest, and like we'd met that night. I'd met her in one venue, and happened to be in another venue later, and then the energy was completely different. It was great. It was quite gritty. It was quite sexy. It was nice. And then she's left her friends. It's just the two of us were making out, and I'm like, right. But I didn't add. I had a flight in a couple of hours, literally, like not even like that late in that morning, like literally in like a few hours. So I had to go back to my apartment and pretty much leave, because I thought, I'm just have a party before I leave. So I was like, crap, right? And there's nothing that I did wrong in the situation. It was just the situation, how it was. I thought, right, I got a couple of options. Sit one, pull her into a toilet, bit difficult, or take a number and just hope, because she's whispering in my ear like, oh, like I really want you right now. Like, I'm like, fuck. Like, she's like, can we go to your place? I'm like, yeah, but I'm literally gonna have to pick up a bag and leave. Like, that's kind of the vibe. I was like, oh, sucks, but that's what happens sometimes. So closing is also a point where guys can get stuck. And also, like, within that, it's like how you're presenting that close. Like, I see a lot of guys, like, can you like bring someone or bring a woman to the venue or your place or hotel or her place? Like, I think there's different ways of doing it, and I think over the years, if you get too caught up in one way, then you kind of lose sight of all the other ways to do it, and you kind of go, well, it worked with this girl and that girl, like why isn't this working this time? And sometimes moving fast is the best option. Just say, hey, look, I think I had a great example. I think it was last year. I was on a date with an Italian girl, we're at the pub, and you know what I mean, like, we were sitting opposite each other. The vibe was good, but I wouldn't say it was like amazing. But I think I should post about this on one of my blogs or something. And I just said to her, like, should we go? I'm like, yeah. So like the vibe was like quite chilled, quite relaxed, and I just said, yeah, let's go to mine. And you know, you get that second, that initial like, oh no, I couldn't possibly do that. And then I was just like, okay, well I'm going. Are you coming? Yeah, all right. And that's it. Walk on. It's quite simple as that. So I think that's like, I think what we're about 20 minutes in, and that's the model kind of overall. How to use it and when to use it is probably going to be quite difficult for beginners, because you know, I'm sitting here and just told you what the model is. Find me a track close, and it's very simple. And in a way, you kind of know that. Like, that's the linear process. It's quite simple. Like, it's nothing revolutionary there. But how to use a tool is harder than being told what it is. Like I'm starting playing chess, and chess is similar to that in a sense, where like, you know what all the pieces do and all the rules, but you know, we're all playing the same game, but some people are playing at a completely different level because they understand it at they're on a different wavelength with it. So find me a track close, like, it's hard to say, because like I said, I'm trying to break this down. I'm trying to break down what I'm doing on a weekly or monthly basis, with days, with people I meet, etc., just so people have more of an idea of how smooth it can be. Like the transitions between all of those things there, it's fine. That bit can be done in like a second, like literally, like fine, right, done. Meet, blah 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 blah. Get the hook point. You can do the first 2 points of that model in 30 seconds, and then you're on attraction already. So then some guys will like, they've just found the girl and they're kind of going oh, and it's done. Like in their head, they're already scrambled. They're like, oh crap, I'm trying to flip through the book. Like I didn't expect this to happen so quickly. Like somebody can be very, very fast. So you have to be never on it. And the truth is, like, learning this model like intuitively, just so it's like completely instinctual for you, it's just repetition. It's like anything, it's just repetition. And the reason why obviously a lot of guys don't get into repetition is because repetition is hard, because this learning the model out there in like the field, on the streets, or in the clubs, or even on the apps, it's hard. It's hard on your ego, because your ego's just taking a battering day after day, week after week. Like, oh yeah, she's just gone. You're doing 5 meter track close. You get to me, and she's gone. Nah, no hook point. Oh god, you get to, you're 10 goals in. You haven't got hook point once, and you're like, oh god, like what am I gonna do? Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And it's like, this is where some of the other things which I'm going to talk about in this series of podcasts are going to come into it. But I think the first thing you need to be looking at is the model and saying, all right, am I doing 5 meter track close? Yes, no, maybe. Well, where am I going wrong along that? And then you say, you look at the 4 things there and say, right, if I'm doing A, I'm doing B, I'm doing C, but I'm missing D, we're closed, then that's probably a good thing. But then it's going to be a sliding scale for the rest of you about where you're going wrong. And even now, like when I'm struggling with certain things, I have to refer back to it. So like I put up a post on my old blog about like this weird phenomenon I'm going through at the moment, where like with like really hot girls, like, I'm sort of like, what's the term? I'm getting like, basically I'm having issues with comfort. Long story short, so I'm getting attraction, I'm getting all that kind of stuff, but the comfort's not quite there because I mean, for whatever reason, so I'm just having to like slightly modify the way I do things, and I've seen some additional success on that, but it's just about being on it all the time. It's quite difficult to like, even the years in, just having to make little tweaks when different situations change, and it depends where you are. So that's why it's always important just to have that there, and that's why it was good for me, because I realized like I was going through, like I was getting certain results, like a bit more flakiness than I was ever used to, and I was like, why am I getting flaked on? Like all of a sudden, it's never used to happen to me, ever. Something's changed, and then this was coming out of, and then I realized what it was. I was like, oh, okay, so when I was meeting girls this way, this was happening. When I was meeting girls this way, this was happening. So when I meet girls, like hot girls in like a certain type of venue, I need to act differently. Like I need to bring a bit more comfort. I need to bring a bit more of my personality out, which I don't usually need to do. If I was meeting someone from Hinge, for example, wouldn't need to do that. So yeah. What was I gonna say next? I might wrap it up here. We're coming up on 26 minutes. There's no point beating over the head. But yeah, the model is very simple for that reason, and I recommend, if you haven't read The Mystery Method, if you can get a copy of it for relatively cheap, do get it. It is a bit nerdy in terms of like, well, you should do this, that, and the other, like blah blah blah. But the overarching message of it is good, and it's a good place to start. A lot of people, it wouldn't be where it is today, especially in terms of the techniques that people are using without this. So everything comes from somewhere else. Alright, so on that point, I'm going to sign off and say, alright, see you on the other side, guys. Peace.